Tonight, Ukraine celebrating its Independence Day while marking 6 months since the Russian invasion. A more somber occasion this year, how Ukrainians in Toronto are commemorating 31 years of independence as their homeland continues its fight against the Russian invasion. Plus,
and you can see what happened in the clip, so that one leaves you traumatized.
A personal support worker drowns in a swimming pool in Owen Sound while live streaming on Facebook. Her family now trying to raise money to bring her body back to Kenya. And
I love Toronto. I don't really want to move too far away from Toronto.
A new survey shows while most millennials want to own a home and do so in their current city, many don't think they can afford one unless they relocate. Good evening. I'm Kelda Yoon, and this is Independence Day in Ukraine. This year, it also marks 6 months of war triggered by the Russian invasion. And today, the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, told the United Nations Russia had launched another deadly attack. He says 22 people were killed and 50 were injured when missiles hit a train station in the eastern part of the country.
Every new day is a new reason not to give up, because having gone through so much, we have no right not to reach the end. What is the end of the war for us? We used to say peace. Now we say victory.
Earlier in his Independence Day speech, President Zelensky called on the Ukrainian people to stay strong as the war grinds on. In the capital, Kyiv, the day was marked quietly. Thousands turned out to wander through destroyed Russian war machinery that has been put on display in the streets. Prime Minister of the UK, Boris Johnson, is one of the many world leaders to express solidarity with Ukraine today, paying a surprise visit to the capital where he received Ukraine's Order of Liberty. Now, here in Toronto, Ukrainians marked the country's Independence Day in a number of ways, including through song and art. Our Dale Manukduk joins us live from Nathan Phillips Square. And Dale, I see that Toronto sign behind you lit up in solidarity with Ukraine tonight.
Yeah, Kelda, the message from the city is clear. It stands with Ukraine. From the lit up Toronto sign behind me here at ground level to the skies of the CN Tower. The one word I keep hearing today, Kelda, both on the 31st anniversary of Ukraine's independence and on the 6-month mark of Russia's invasion, is bittersweet. And there was no more bittersweet setting than the one I attended today underneath the ground beneath Bay Subway Station. On the Bay Subway Station platform, trains pull in, causing a rumble. But underneath in the abandoned area, the sounds are drowned out by song. Ukrainian-Canadian folk rock band Zapovid playing to a crowd of about 150 people.
Our brothers and sisters they're trying to fight for independence, and so we're trying to do this show which is similar to what some artists did in Ukraine and Kyiv.
Images of the early days of the invasion are top of mind. Families sheltering in Ukraine's subways, crammed together, mothers clutching their children. While the band describes the unique venue as eerie, they also know it's not the same.
As much as we over here try and relate to them and say it's terrible, we truly have no idea what it's like living under the shelling and under the explosions.
Those in attendance say the day is bittersweet.
On the one hand, it's a great anniversary. There's nothing better than being free, living in a democracy, which Ukraine is, celebrating 31 years of it. But at the same time, the horrors. Dozens of people today, civilians, were killed.
Meanwhile, down by the water and above ground, an immersive exhibit debuted, titled Ukraine, Land of the Brave. It featured thousands of images and videos showcasing the effects that the war in Ukraine has on its citizens. Premier Doug Ford joined dignitaries there. The exhibit will open to the public next month as part of the Ukrainian Bloor Village Festival. Kelda, that festival will run from September 15th to the 18th. The two events tonight were fundraisers. The art exhibit for medical and evacuation vehicles and the concert were raising funds for families fleeing the war who have arrived or are arriving in Toronto.
Thanks so much for that, Dale. That's our Dale Manukduk live for us tonight. A PSW working in Ontario drowned last Thursday while live streaming at a motel pool. A 24-year-old Helen Nyaboto, who is originally from Kenya, had been working at long-term care homes in Owen Sound. As Julia Nope tells us, friends, family, and even strangers are now helping to raise money to bring her body home.
Helen Nyabuto had just finished an early morning shift when she decided to go for a swim. It was about 2 p.m. when she got in the pool at the motel where she was staying, all the while recording herself on this Facebook live stream. 10 minutes later, things would take a turn. Unable to swim in the deep end of the pool, she started calling for help, but no one was around.
What makes it sad is like we saw the video and you can see what happened in the clip. So that one leaves you traumatized.
The live stream went on for hours before a hotel guest found her and called the cops. OPP say they were called to the scene around 5:45, almost 4 hours after Nyabuto died.
Honestly, I'm not able to say how I feel, or I cannot say it all because it's really hard. But all I can say, we have lost a really lovely, hardworking, passionate girl.
Nyabuto was the oldest of 6 siblings. She came to Canada in 2019 from Kenya. She immediately enrolled in college to become a certified PSW, and she started working at long-term care homes in Owen Sound while studying to become a nurse.
Helen was like a role model to us, and she was someone in the family. All the rest of the siblings, we looked up to her.
Nyabuto's family says she knew the basic skills of swimming but wasn't experienced in the water. One organization says this tragedy is a stark reminder to always swim with a buddy.
Even incredibly strong swimmers should never swim alone because something can happen unexpectedly.
She also urges inexperienced swimmers to always wear a life jacket, even in the shallow end of a pool.
You may feel very confident, but if you take a step and you don't realize it, that now you're over your head and now you're in the deep water, that's a surprise. Then all of a sudden you're in a very frightening situation.
It's very devastating at the moment. The family were still in mourning.
While still struggling to cope with their loss, Nyabuto's family has shifted their efforts to bringing her body home. Her brother started a GoFundMe to raise $50,000 to repatriate her body to Nairobi and hold a funeral. Just 3 days later, the money has been raised by family, friends, and anonymous donors.
We can give my late sister a good send-off.
Julia Nope, CBC News, Toronto.
Halton police have identified the victim of a fatal shooting as a 27-year-old man from Alberta. Arvin Dillon was killed last week. Police say they were called to a residential area in Oakville near Bronte and the QEW around 1 a.m. on August 19th for reports of gunfire. Police had said the victim was targeted. Dillon was acquitted in a deadly Edmonton nightclub shooting back in 2018. Police are now confirming as well a white Acura MDX found burning in Oakville shortly after the incident is connected to the shooting. Anyone with dash cam or security footage of the vehicle is asked to contact police. We know buying a home in Canada isn't easy, especially in a city like Toronto. But according to a new report, most millennials are still set on owning one. A survey by Royal LePage asked thousands of people aged 26 to 41 about their views on home ownership and what they're willing to sacrifice to make it happen. Tali Ricci has more.
For some millennials who rent, it's just not quite home sweet home.
It's exciting to own your own home at 1.2, right? Like that's something that you want.
It's something that's important to 68% of non-homeowning millennials in Canada, according to a Royal LePage survey. 60% believe they will one day. Of them, however, more than half say they would have to relocate in order to achieve this milestone. That's not really in the cards for this house hunter.
I love Toronto. I don't really want to move too far away from Toronto.
The survey showed 72% of millennials in Canada would choose to continue living in their current city or town if the cost of living was not an issue.
Toronto wasn't going to happen for us. It was too expensive.
For Fiona Lacey, leaving the Big Smoke to call a place her own in Hamilton was well worth it.
I love having the space. I love having a separate office for working from home. The backyard's been awesome.
Overall, we saw a sharp uptick in the 2020 to 2022 period. If you add that to those who, not those who want to own a home, but those who say, I will own my home, we have the potential for the highest level of home ownership of any group in Canadian history.
Experts say this is due to a few factors. Many people increased their savings during the pandemic, and the housing market has shifted to be slightly less competitive. Some people are getting help from their parents or exploring co-ownership. Work from home has played a big role too.
Your working environment plays a significant role in your ability to achieve success in your career. Obviously, the pandemic shifted everything to a work-at-home arrangement, and as a result, the requirement to have a really solid working space, high-quality internet, that experience has likely brought to the forefront this desire to move into more spacious homes.
And this real estate agent says high rent prices are pushing people to buy too.
You say, well, I don't want to burn all my money on rent when I could take those funds and put it right into a house. A lot of people just want that security, to feel at home.
Something first-time millennial homebuyers can attest to.
It's been fun working on projects to improve the house, so we don't regret it at all. It was a great move.
Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
Drivers filling up their tanks today are getting some relief, with prices at the pumps dropping to 158.9 cents per liter. And one expert says it may drop 4 more cents by Friday.
This next couple of weeks, I think, are going to be the sweet spot, something that most of us would not have imagined possible considering the circumstance of a low supply. I would expect that by the first or second week of September, we could start to see a major reversal in gasoline prices. Normally, we don't see that. Because on the 15th of September, we go back to winter blends of gasoline.
Dan Mattig says gas prices will continue to drop for the next few weeks. Then in September, prices may spike up to 30 cents per liter, more per liter. Now, gas prices have hit record highs this year, with the highest prices seen in June at $2.16 per liter. Let's go to Dahlia Ashry now with a first look at your forecast. And Dahlia, managed to stay dry today, but I'll need my umbrella the next couple of days, right?
That's right, Kelda. We saw some sunshine during the day. As for tomorrow, you might want to keep that umbrella around just in case, but you'll really need it as we kick off the weekend on Friday. There is some sunshine that is expected, and that humidity that we've been seeing the past few days, it is a trending thing, and we will see it over the next few days as well. The daytime highs in Toronto, 29 degrees, Windsor, 28. The cool spot in the region is Barrie, 26 degrees. Now, are we expecting any rainfall this evening? The answer to that is no. It's going to be mainly cloudy overnight. As for tomorrow, when you're heading over to work, that's when you might start seeing that cloud coverage, and we start to see a little bit of that precipitation making its way into Toronto, and it's going to be mostly cloudy. As for tonight, temperatures will drop and it will cool down. It will be 17 degrees. We will see some cloud coverage overnight, and tomorrow, that's when we see that there might be a chance for rain. It will get pretty humid tomorrow. As always, it will feel more like 31 degrees. As for the weekend, how it's shaping up, we'll have more on that later. Kelda?
Thanks so much, Dahlia. Whether traveling by road, boat, or bike in the province, you're going to want to pay attention to this next story. Fatalities are up on Ontario roads, waterways, and trails. And as Natalie Collada explains, there seems to be a common reason why.
It's the call no family wants to receive, and one this year far too many have.
When people start taking chances, that's when injuries start happening.
According to the OPP, so far this year, 259 people have died on Ontario trails, waterways, and roadways. Last week alone, 19 people were killed.
We always talk about the big four, the leading causes of death and injury on our highways: speeding, aggressive driving, impaired driving, distractions, and people not wearing their seatbelts or safety equipment. And every one of those categories is up this year compared to last year.
And for pedestrians and cyclists, the increase is staggering.
We saw a 300% increase already this year in bicycle fatalities compared to last year.
It's a very troubling upward trend for cyclists during a time when more people are choosing to bike.
With safety concerns the largest barrier for people moving to cycling, Cycle Toronto is calling on the Ontario government to act, including a provincial strategy for Vision Zero, safer, slower roads, and expanding the use of speed cameras.
The data suggests that these high-speed arterial roads are where these speed enforced cameras work best. We'd also like to see that all provincial highway overpasses and underpasses in urban areas introduce safe designs for vulnerable road users, such as protected bike lanes, protected intersections.
In the meantime, anyone who spots dangerous driving on water or roadways is encouraged to call police.
It really comes down to people understanding that when you're operating a vehicle, you need to operate it in a safe and attentive manner.
Natalie Collada, CBC News.
Welcome back. Back to school is just a few weeks away, and most students in Toronto are opting to be back in person this year. The TDSB says only 4,800 students have opted to take part in virtual learning for the upcoming school year. And families had until March to tell the school board if they would choose online schooling, which remains an option for students. The first day of classes is September 6. There is a new term that's making the rounds: quiet quitting. Burned out workers have been trying it out. It includes things like clocking out at 5 and doing the bare minimum at work. Lisa Shing has more on the benefits of not going the extra mile.
You're not outright quitting your job, but you're quitting the idea of going above and beyond.
This is the TikTok video that sparked the conversation about quiet quitting, a relatively new term for the old union concept of work to rule.
You're still performing your duties, but you're no longer subscribing to the hustle culture mentality that work has to be your life.
It garnered more than 3 million views and tons of responses.
It's a reaction by workers who have been exploited for years.
If the inflation rate is 8.5% and you get a 1% raise, what do employers expect?
I was truly burned out, and the pandemic just exacerbated that feeling.
All of this sounds familiar to writer and producer Emil Niazi, whose essay on the experience went viral.
I decided to completely change my approach to work, my approach to ambition. I went freelance. I took control of my time and took control of my career.
Quiet quitting may mean different things for different people, like clocking out at 5 on the dot, not checking email after hours, or limiting overtime, all ways to manage burnout. Experts say the movement marks a cultural shift away from an emphasis on working hard in order to climb the corporate ladder. The pandemic changed that.
People have adjusted their schedules and their shifts in behavior, that there's been a lot of introspection about what they actually want to prioritize in their lives.
This human resources consultant says employers need to pay attention.
Just lack of engagement or leadership from frontline leaders, like in having, caring for, mentoring, coaching. So I think if we can look at nurturing well-being, it would make a huge dent.
Megwood says employers are in trouble if they don't adapt, especially when retirements are up and labor is in short supply. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
A live shot of the Toronto skyline, partly cloudy tonight, becoming clearer overnight. Currently, it is 24 degrees in the city. Let's go back to Dahlia now with a more detailed look at your forecast. And Dahlia, a bit of rain to get through the next couple of days, but the weekend looking quite glorious.
That's right, Keld. I mean, we did see some sunshine earlier today. There was some cloud coverage as well. What to expect over the next few days, where we might see a little bit more of those wet conditions, and the humidity will keep seeing that over the next few days. And then over the weekend, that's when we'll see a little bit of that sunshine starting to come around. So it's a great time to head outdoors. The daytime highs in Toronto today, 29 degrees, Windsor 28, Barrie 26 degrees. So on average, we're sitting more in the mid to high 20s, in some areas 30s. We won't won't be seeing any rain tonight. We will have mostly cloudy skies. As you head into work tomorrow, that's when you will see the cloud coverage starting to continue and a 40% chance of rain and a 40% chance of a thunderstorm as well. So keep an umbrella handy because you might need it, especially we start to see here that risk of a thunderstorm that starts to make its way into the GTA, especially in the evening. Now on Friday, that slowly starts to clear out, but there is a risk of a thunderstorm and we'll see some precipitation as well. As we head into Saturday, we'll start to see some clear skies, and that's what we want to see in that sunshine, and especially before the kids head back to school. Overnight tonight, temperatures will drop to 17 degrees, a little bit cooler. Tomorrow, 25 degrees, and with that humidity that will be sticking around, it'll feel more like 31 degrees. Overnight tonight, temperatures will drop. Like I said, it will feel more like around 18 degrees. Mississauga 17. As we head into the weekend, what to expect, especially before the kids head back to school. I know a lot of people are saying fall is around the corner, but it's not. We're still sitting above those seasonal averages. We will see that the rain will start to taper off, and we'll have some dry conditions on Saturday and Sunday. It'll feel more like 33 degrees on Sunday. So Thursday and Friday, keep an umbrella around, especially on Friday. We'll see an increase in rain and a risk of a thunderstorm. Saturday and Sunday, dry conditions. Monday is when we see that rain again, but for the most part, it will be damp, except for the weekend, so a great time to head outdoors. Kelda?
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Delia. Hot, dry weather across Europe has caused serious problems this summer, but it has presented a rare opportunity for archaeologists in Spain. Disappearing waters have exposed prehistoric stone circles known as the Dolmen of Guadalperal. Often referred to as the Stonehenge of Spain, dozens of megalithic rocks have been placed in circles dating back more than 7,000 years. There are several such sites across Europe, but little is known about who built them or why. One common theory is that they're tombs. This is just the fourth time the Spanish stones have been visible since the area was flooded for a reservoir back in 1963. And finally tonight, as we head toward the end of August, fall fairs and harvest festivals are getting started, and a long-standing attraction at many of them is the butter sculpture. This year at the New York State Fair, two artists have turned about 400 kilos of butter into a tribute to female athletes. The sculpture is called Refuel for Greatness, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Title IX is a U.S. civil rights law that banned sex-based discrimination in federally funded education programs. The centerpiece of the work is connected to a marketing campaign based on athletes refueling on chocolate milk. That is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Chris Glover has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night.